What's up, everyone? You're listening to Vibe Check with me, DeWoofy, and we've got another incredible guest today, my friend Sam Huber from Farcaster. Sam's here because he's building a consulting business on top of the Farcaster platform, and he had some really interesting ideas about not only selling your services, but also convincing people that a platform is useful. So we get into a lot of stuff. We get into the dangers of launching a token without intention, tokens as a marketing tool, disadvantages to PWAs, knowing your users directly because of the Farcaster protocol, and even some interesting ideas in the end that haven't been built yet. So I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed recording, hanging out with my friend Sam. And without further ado, here's Vibe Check with Sam Huber. You ready? I feel like I've got you dialed in now.
I'm fully ready, but like this token and building business stuff, there's some really interesting takes where I disagree with a lot of people on this shit.
I hope that's gonna be the fucking intro. Ready? We're in with Vibe Check, baby. It's me, DeWoofy, and my good friend and confidant Sam Huber, who I've known from Farcaster. Sam's an interesting person for sure, and he's a prolific builder. But other than that, Sam, I'll let you introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you're working on.
Wolf, to everyone listening, if you run Farcaster, you will have caught that. No, I'm mostly building in and around the Farcaster ecosystem for most teams in this space, meaning there's always some technical problem that can't be solved, and that's usually when I get a DM. And either I'm able to fix it within 5 minutes, and then we don't need to go into any project talk, or it's a longer standing thing, and then we'll work something out and I fix it for the team. Outside of that, it's a lot of consulting, meaning users want to have easy to use products. Like it's something that a lot of people do not understand in this like crypto ecosystem, which makes it fun for me because I can just go in and be like, dude, can you just take out all of this resistance? And then they're like, oh, how can we? And I'm like, here, let's like do it and build it. And that's my day job. It's fun.
I love it. Taking out resistance. We're definitely going to come back to that. But we talked, it was last week.
Yep.
We talked a little bit about your consulting business, and I thought it'd be really fun to bring you on because, well, a couple of reasons. The first one is there's this talk of like Farcaster as an economy, as a narrative, which I think is trash. I just like as a narrative, I think it's a good place to exchange money and goods and services. But I think telling people to come here to make money is like, it attracts the wrong person. But more importantly, I think what you're talking about before is, you're building on hard mode with no token, and you're building a real business.
No, there's like, it's really interesting. I had this conversation with a few people where they're thinking about using the token as a marketing distribution. And I can totally see that. If your price is jumping, you have a 24 to 48 hour window of guaranteed distribution, especially if it hits multi-million-dollar market caps. If you're able to sustain that for a week, you now have a week of like quote unquote infinite distribution to a lot of Twitter and a lot of Farcaster. The question just becomes, is that the user base that you want to attract? If it is, oh, you're doing a great job with PR. And if you were one of my clients, we may even work out something there to really make sure that you capture most of the attention that you get there, because that's what a lot of people are missing when they do it. But other people launch a token when they're like, oh yeah, I just want some money, or oh, I just didn't think about this, and then they have a token because everyone else did it, was fun, and then they're sitting on thousands of people financially being overinvested, even though you never said they should, but they will. It's just like human nature if your price jumps a little bit, and then your DMs look a little bit weird all of a sudden. And like, if you're not prepared for that mentally, you may just not want to launch a token, right? The hard mode part of that becomes, okay, if you do not launch a token, well, first of all, if you launch a token and you don't get distribution to it in the first place, it's like, if you don't have a reputation or a marketing strategy that is guaranteed to pump your price, you should probably not launch a token. Unless you just want to be the Amazon of the world, launch your stock like 20 years before it becomes the world's most valuable thing. Yeah, you can do that. It's probably fun. Do you want to? Maybe, maybe not. But the psychology of having a token is really interesting, because if you get death threats all of a sudden because people overinvested and it dumps, if that affects you, you may just stop building something that could be something valuable in 20 years if you were to blend that out. And the hard mode is like, well, you can raise a lot of money with a token without giving up anything. So yeah, you can test that real quick.
Except your peace of mind and probably some goodwill. I feel like I've seen people burn, like they had goodwill and then they sort of, I don't know if they want to cash it in or they're just not aware. You know what I mean? But I've seen people start off like on good terms with their community, launch a token without much thought, and then all of a sudden the community, like the one thing they had, which was a great community, is now livid. And like
Are you
just have to spend
talking
your time
2021, 2022 NFT projects? Or you're talking is this like a jab at like the whole NFT space?
This
like,
is
oh,
not
you
a
had
jab
great
at anyone.
vibes, and then you launched your second collection, and then you all the people that had good vibes, even though they didn't have a holding, which made they had good vibes without looking at the price, they now have an item that's dumping like shit, and you now have bad vibes. Cool. You just financial engineered yourself into irrelevancy, or like at least trying to figure out how to stay relevant and keep that up, right? Like there's a few NFT projects that managed to do it. There's a few coins that have continuously dumped. Like the biggest Farcaster coin, for example, Degen, doesn't have a meteoric rise continuously, right? But still, it has a huge community and has a huge mindshare in Farcaster. And it was a side project token, like, oh, just fun idea, let's launch it, right? Like I'm not saying it's a bad idea in general or you shouldn't do it. It's like we're in crypto. Like most of the stuff we do is speculation and quote unquote bullshit if you want to think about it. Like there's part of the financial world where we say, oh, all these people are scumbags and scammers. Well, if you look at crypto from the outside, that's the only thing you see is like the worst part of financials. Whereas if you look at finance from the outside, by now you look at the banks, you look at stockbrokers, you look at your local like a mortgage dealer, and you think, oh, this guy is helping me buy a house. Like that's not how crypto is branded. So I'm just saying, like, I would love for people to just take 1 second of thought before they hit the launch button, which actually is becoming harder and harder with all of the AI and like easy launchpad tools that are coming out. But hey, that's my 2 cents on tokens.
Yeah,
for startups, it's a whole nother thing. For startup, it's a whole nother thing. But that's like if you're a side project or you're a person with a personality, that's like something to think about.
Yeah, the second is definitely shortening. The time span is shortening. We're going from YouTube to TikTok, right? Like the attention span is like.
Oh, yeah, but you see that in token price graphs.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they're absolutely wild these days.
Like I've seen tokens usually stick around for 2-3 days, at least like on my feed, and my feed usually is not a lot of token talks. Or if it actually gets in there, it's like probably the bigger ones or the bigger breakouts. And then if they stay for 1 or 2 days, well, the biggest ones in this like December pre-Christmas mania, they stayed for 1 day. And then there was a derivative that pumped. So it's, yeah, we're for sure in the TikTok era of that. But no, if you build a business, like the marketing angle is great and can be really great. For example, I had a fun exchange with Proxy Studio, who's building clankers, like a Farcaster AI launch a token, meaning you just post something, it takes natural language, it launches a token for you. And because the project itself has distribution, your token gets at least some bit initially from snipers. And then Proxy can help amplify and all of that, right? And they take 60% of the fee on like all the trades, and you get 30% of the trading fee. So they have an incentive to also pump your bags, so to say, because then they get trading fees. It's like a work together situation. There, but I framed it a little differently in that sentence, just for it to be clear. That could be a great thing for distribution, for early marketing, and getting some users. It just depends. Is that what you want to do? For me, for example, for the consultancy, it's like, well, I'm a service-based business. A lot of what I do is I just am the best at providing the service that I do. And why do I need a token for that? Like the people holding and buying the token would generally be traders. That's the people that my clients want to attract, not who I want to attract, right? Like I could show it as a demo, but then the marketing effort and the maintenance after is way harder. Why not just do it for your client and then let their marketing team handle it? So that's my thoughts on tokens. And if we're going into startups, then you can just launch a token, get 50 to 100K, maybe even a couple million, and then you don't need to raise from angels if you have the distribution. But then what you said about burning your reputation, depending on who gets caught up in that token, then you may have burned a lot of goodwill. So it's for sure a trade-off. And if you have VC funding and then you have to launch a token because your startup is failing otherwise, and the VC is like, launch your token now because you have mindshare, that's a whole other thing.
Well, we can get into that in a little bit, but I do want to sort of pivot back to Clanker and like your work, and you don't have to reveal what you said with Proxy, obviously, but
it's a public exchange on Farcaster.
So not only is it public, but it's
no, I can pull up the casts and you can like read the replies and all that. It was a fun conversation. I was just challenging him on like, he's saying ecosystem. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, you build a bunch of traders and you have a bunch of apps facilitating volume. It's cool. It's traders, but like, I would love to see people exploit more and see like, okay, what can you do outside of just facilitating volume? And he's like, dude, this is crypto. And you're not the target audience, right? Like you would probably build on Clanker for a client. Yeah, I would. But you wouldn't just launch your own token and start facilitating that. And I'm like, yeah, still point stands. So yeah, I think we have that back and forth.
Yeah, what I think what's interesting about Clanker is like this idea of removing resistance, because the people that I know that were really into Clanker were people who would have no way to like launch a token otherwise, right? Like they just don't have the skill set. They don't know how. Maybe they have attention, but like that's literally, and Farcaster sort of minted these things. So there's some interesting things there, but I'm with you that like there's probably like the lesson from Clanker for me is not, oh, crypto's only good for speculation, although I think some people will take that lesson away. The lesson from Clanker for me is that what else can we sort of democratize with these tools, right? Like what are some of the other things that like, not to like replace engineers, obviously, we still need people to build tooling, but there's probably a lot of other things out there that people would like to do that are extremely difficult right now. I think another good one is what's the name? Pushix Sourcebook, I think is the name of this project.
You just combine Clanker with what you're doing with zkTLS at Opacity. It's like you could build a Clanker bot that's like, if this token reaches a certain amount in trading fees, we use all of the trading fees as a pool to get data, and with that data we do whatever, right? You could launch it that way, and because Clanker gives you the distribution and the funding, you now have a project where you can go and verify that, say, this Twitter user is now active on Farcaster, because with Opacity, you actually can verify that this Twitter user is who they say they are, right? You could use OAuth for that, but if the user doesn't want to reveal the Twitter name, all of the sudden, zkTLS, watch all of your podcasts on that. But you could use Clanker as distribution and combine it and democratize a lot of things just by attaching a token and getting the funding. What I'm saying, and that wouldn't be speculative. It would be speculative for the people that want to speculate, but then you have a funding source for something else. Could you crowdfund that? Yeah, but crypto people may not crowdfund it, but they will run the token up because it has utility, right? Like,
if you're listening, we're making air quotes right now. if you're not watching the video.
No, but dude, this is where I'm saying, like, it's a great marketing tool. You just a lot of people just do not think around that one corner. They see the painting on the wall, but they don't just check, is there a house or is it just a facade? And a lot of the times it's a facade because that's just how easy it is to make money, and that's cool. That's how the incentives are aligned. Not saying that is the case with Clanker, saying that over token and a lot of where you have quick access to money places, which by the way is like fake jewelry and all of it as well. Like, this isn't a crypto exclusive thing. Why it is so discussed in crypto is because there's just not that much else going on for however long crypto has been around, which isn't a jab at all of it. There's a lot of lending going on where, yes, traders lend money, but also people all over the world are now able to access financial markets, which they never had access to before, just because of the place that were born. They didn't win the birth lottery of being in the US. Well, second best place to be, you choose. First best place, maybe it's not the US. I'm not in the US, for example. But like, if you're born somewhere where you have a dictator, no banks, no nothing, Maybe that's not the best place to be for you if you want to have market access. And then DeFi helps, right? Like we built a lot of really cool things. Farcaster is just not financial at all in its nature. It does not have a token. Yeah, it has access to blockchain technology and identities are there. And then people on top of Farcaster build financial stuff. But the thing itself is sending messages across a network for people to communicate. Okay, where's the financial? Well, we make it that because we associate with crypto. But like Bluesky isn't crypto at all. They despise crypto on their platform, and you can compare the project to Farcaster and just be like, okay, this is the same. So there's a lot in crypto that isn't just this financial speculation, but like, dude, most of the attention span is taken by those. Because
I mean, that's the nature of things. So on that note, it's vibe check. I think we shit on tokens enough. What are you excited about? What are you like, whether like a personal project or something that you see in Farcaster outside? What like bull market back, hopefully? I don't know, fingers crossed. Maybe.
I stopped speculating on markets in 21.
Fuck yeah, love that. But let's not talk about the market. What are you excited about that's not the market?
It's like, if you want to say bull bear market, dude, I'm German. It's always a bear market. It always gets worse for a German. But I'm super excited on the Farcaster side for frames because people know how to build web pages. People just don't know how to get users for the web pages, at least most of them. But what if you put your web page where the user is, meaning where they spend all of their time in their like social media app? Well, now you enter Farcaster frames, right? And if you're a crypto company and you can get people to deposit any amount of money within like 1 to 10 seconds, oh shit, now you don't deal with Wallet Connect not working 3 times on web. Cool, actually works on mobile. That even just not having to use Wallet Connect and having proper mobile wallets while reaching your user, to me is insanity, and that's Farcaster frames. But like, that's what I'm excited about. But dude, there's so much great stuff going on a technology level that is not even covered in crypto at all. If you just look outside of crypto adjacent, because a lot of it is TypeScript code, there's TypeScript libraries getting 10x better every single month. Nobody is talking about in crypto. Like how to build mobile apps, we don't need PWAs anymore with React Native. Like actually building a mobile app for iOS, Android, and also having a web page right in one code base is getting 10x better every single month. Nobody in crypto seemingly is like super excited about it. We're all still jamming about PWAs. Like, well, if you actually build a PWA, you're not even going to be a client of mine. Like I tried PWAs for 2.5 weeks in one project, and I despise them so much. And that's a whole 50-minute rant. But there's a lot of stuff on technology that gets so much easier, and I haven't even started with AI yet. So it's like that's just on the tech side, and then on the
okay. So hold on, let's dig in. Let's dig in because I love this. This is why you're here on Vibe Check, so I can learn about stuff, and hopefully people out there listening can learn something as well.
You just make sure we don't dive too deep, because like on infra and code stuff, I'm nerd sniping myself every day.
We'll dial it back. I'll make you. I will challenge you to explain it in a way that I would understand. Right. So okay. So we're all right. No, he said not easy.
No, I said easy.
Oh, easy. I thought you said not easy. I was like, fair.
No.
All right, so I'm with you. PWAs are shitty. I'm against them as well after trying them as a consumer, like interacting with them. Like, it's never works the way I want it
to. Not having a mobile app and having a good responsive web page is different than having a PWA. I'm talking about you trying to build a mobile app as your web app.
Right.
Or trying to build a web app as your mobile app. Take it whatever you want. Just it's like if you want to have an elephant and jump and put it inside your mini like Fiat 500, like dude, it's not built for each other. Like please use a proper truck, train, and like a cargo ship for your elephant transport. Like it doesn't work. Anyways,
elephant transport is a great analogy. But on the tech side, on the TypeScript stuff, and then I'm actually curious specifically because I feel like there might be a connection here. You can tell me if I'm wrong. But like, how does all that connect back to frames then, right? If it's easier to make an app, if this web page stuff's getting easier, you can have it all in the same code base. Does that mean that frame development is going to get easier as well?
Yes. On the TypeScript side, I'm thinking about effect. Just like if people follow me on Farcaster, they'll already be sick of me just talking about it. But every single person where their side project, which a lot of Farcaster people are just experimenting with it, and then there's startups building on it and crypto companies integrating it. But a lot of devs just play around with it, and then they're like, okay, I now have a bunch of users because it's a social feed. You just natively get users because you're in front of you have distribution right away if you built an audience. And they're like, oh shit, like now my app breaks all the time. And I'm like, well, here's this one like TypeScript library, and since like all of Web3 is mostly running on TypeScript, just like use it across the stack. And now you properly can see where your error is. You also, while you're writing your code, know which error comes up so you can handle it so it doesn't break for the user. You just have to write code for 5 minutes longer. And you have to like think about this a little different. And like that makes building all kinds of apps easier. Like TypeScript is used across Web3, not just in Farcaster. And like that way, if your app doesn't error and you know where it fails and how fast it is and how to improve it because you have these analytics and metrics called telemetry, well then like you can just build a better app. And I'm excited about people being able to build better apps. And like on the yeah.
And if you can't, you can call Sam because he'll just build you a better app.
Dude, it's so interesting. Like every single person I talk to after a project is like, dude, I thought I was slow, but they're always like, dude, you're like 3x, 10x faster than like even some people that we worked with internally before. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then other people are like, dude, no, like I don't see the value in like paying you. We're not even paying our own engineers that much. I'm like, cool. You just we'll talk again in a few months. And if you then actually want to ship it, my DMs are open. The rate may have changed, but my DMs are open. Actually happened. This actually happened. But anyways, we're digressing. On the TypeScript side, it gets a lot easier to build cool apps, which means frames, crypto apps, all of it. If a mobile app to build gets way easier and you get a web page as well, web page is what you need for your frame, for crypto desktop users, for the hardcore power users. Mobile app is what you need to actually scale.
Right.
Well, what if you can now have this little web page built on the same code base that your mobile app is in and put it in a frame, and you can use the same thing for your desktop and web, but also you get the same mobile code or like 95% code share. So you now have a mobile app, and it's not an extra hustle to build more apps. Like if you're into that, EXPO, like Expo, React Native Expo is like what you want to Google. But like, I just don't get why people then say, oh yeah, I'm like going PWA, but we're not touching like Voldemort. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that name. But it just gets so much easier to build for like a prototype quickly in just this web frame format. See if people use it because you can send notifications in a frame. So like the only thing missing when you build a frame for being compatible with a mobile app is having native device API access, which your PWA, by the way, doesn't also really have. Push notifications you actually get through Webcast, so you can send users notifications, so you can see if they retain over, say, like a 1 or 2 week span, and then after that proof of concept, you're like, okay, I have enough signal to actually go and build this mobile app. This, by the way, is a growth campaign. Like what we're just talking about is, okay, we take 1 to 2 weeks to figure out what you actually want to build. We take 1 to 2 weeks to ship it. Now we see what the users do because we actually have analytics. In Farcaster, you actually get the analytics for who those users are, whereas on a blockchain, it may just be addresses, and then you have to buy a bunch of data services to hopefully figure out what the user is. On Farcaster, you can see all the social data, so you know, okay, this user is into like football. It's an NFL guy. Okay, we reached a bunch of NFL fans. Well, shit, we wanted to do basketball activation. Can we pivot into NFL? Yeah. Well, if it's sports, yeah, maybe you just found your launch group in the NFL and you pivot because the app is set up that way. But if you wanted to reach crypto degens and build trade volume, maybe reaching NFL fans isn't the best thing to do. If you get both and a mixture, well, maybe now you're a sports betting app. But you actually know that.
Absolutely. I think that's the power of Farcaster for sure, with the targeting and the understanding of who people are. There's going to be more ZK-TLS integrations there too.
Yeah, because you just want to know who the users are.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is that simple. And for the tech side, well, yeah, if you can just launch that quickly and then transition into a mobile app nicely without having to rebuild, it saves you 2 weeks. And if we're talking project timeline, like the price difference between like having a 6-week project versus 8 to 10 weeks is already substantial. And if you're a startup having raised venture funding, if you can validate ideas in like 4 weeks instead of 8, well, now you're validating 12 ideas a year instead of just 6.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And by the way, PWA to me is not a validation of an idea. People still think that they can validate an idea in a PWA. You can't really build retention in a PWA outside of making people money. And I have not seen somebody scale making money for people.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I want to actually go back to the digression because we're running up on time. Always try to stay cognizant. Because you are consulting, you are running a business, and you are available for hire. I had 2 questions before we wrap it up here. The first one, I'd like to know if there's anything that you've wanted to build for someone, but no one has come to ask you. Have you had any ideas? You're like, this is a great idea. I'd love to build this, but no one has asked me. Like, I'm putting out the CTA. Right? This is me being like the growthy sales guy. I always push my guests. What would you want to build that no one's asked you to build yet?
This is interesting. There's a bunch of stuff. I have tried to find partners to build a full-on casino, and I know I shit so much on tokens before. So this is super interesting. But I literally do believe that accepting money from everyone in their favorite token and entering it into a casino and then having them just play with their friends in Farcaster, build on full notification systems and just literally integrating it into their life, so to say, as like apps, is way better than the online pages that you already have or those apps, because it's way more social. And crypto makes it instant cash in, cash out. And you don't even have to run infra besides the front end because it's smart contracts. So any other team could also build on it. It's like you could literally build this like open gambling page, which doesn't need to just be gambling. It could also be like in German we call them like Kirmes. It could just be some like fun little activation where you like shoot hoops and you just bet with friends who shoots the best. And you're saying like, oh, I will shoot over 10. Your friend is like, no way, I'm betting like $50 you don't. Well, then you actually do. And now they have to pay out. And because they had to put the funds into a smart contract, now your friend actually just like doesn't have that money anymore. Whereas before your friend could just pull out of the bet and just not like PayPal or Venmo you the money, right? Like that is one fun thing we talked about. The challenge there is legal. And I do not want to just involve myself in a bunch of legal stuff. I'd much rather just like work on products and code. Another thing that I'm now getting to build is a full-on Farcaster client. Okay. Like I love the idea of being able to shape the user experience, because a lot of people do not understand that the user just wants to have an end goal and get to that instead of jump through 1,000 hoops. And now working on a Farcaster client with Super, I am able to just shape that experience. Another thing that I have not seen a lot of people do, but I'm really excited about, is making DeFi easier. Like I started with Morpho, and Morpho now you can deposit, like Morpho, to break it down, is a lending protocol. You deposit money, you earn yield, like interest. And usually on their webpage, it takes like minutes. If you do it in traditional finance with fintechs, it takes 5 to 10, 15 minutes to get. In a Farcaster frame, because you already have a wallet, it takes you 20 seconds. If you're really familiar with it and you have faster internet, it takes you 15 seconds. It's like, that is a substantial speed up to go from like 5 to 20 minutes to like 15 seconds. And that was really cool to do. And Morpho is a great team to work with. So I've loved doing that. I would love to do more of those activations for lending protocols and other DeFi apps.
So we started with shitting on tokens and we're ending with casino and DeFi.
No, but dude, I had that exact conversation with Proxy where I was like, because I'm thinking about it from a business owner perspective. And I was like, okay, if I as a business can de-risk myself from like local risk, for example, the euro, I do not believe is going to be around in 10 to 15 years. So I need to look for an alternative. Maybe it's the US dollar, maybe it's the Swiss franc, but maybe in DeFi there's something where I don't even have to be exposed to the US dollar or Swiss franc or the euro.
Yeah.
And I would love to make that happen. But like, if people are focused on just token speculation, then that doesn't happen. Morpho, for example, their vault structure, I can pick a vault that is just like purely conservative, and I just put my business funds in there and get some yield, and I'm mostly outside of any jurisdiction and their power. If I pick the ETH vaults, if I want a little more stable money, I usually pick the USDC vaults, and then I'm in the US jurisdiction with Stockholm. But like that has nothing to do with token speculation. It's automating business funds and making businesses actually own their money. Like, you don't own their money just because it says that your freaking bank prints 2,000 or like 2 million there. Like, you don't own your money, right? And that is what I'm excited about. That's the difference between token speculation and what I'm excited about in DeFi. Proxy actually said it's the same. People lend for token speculation, but hey.
I love it. I think that's a pretty big bombshell to wrap on as far as hot takes. The difference between token speculation and DeFi, and making sure you know which one you're sort of approaching and what you're trying to get done. But final thing, last CTA to pull out of you. What's a client like sort of archetype, or like who are the types of people that you would like to reach out to you to do work? What are they looking to do? What are you helpful with?
Well, mostly they have an idea of what they want to achieve. Meaning, okay, this is the product that we want to build, or this is the people that we want to reach. And then we figure out how to do it on a technical level, how the product works for them specifically. We go through, okay, this is what you're actually trying to achieve. Here's how it makes sense to get there. Here's the least path, like the path of least resistance for you and for the user. And that usually matches to a nice project. If people do not have an idea of where they want to go, also did consulting on like figuring out the idea. But if it's like too broad, it's like, well, it doesn't make sense to run through idea mazes for like 1 or 2 months and just land on something and then half-ass something. Like if you really want to do something, that's where I usually come in to then go fast.
Perfect. All right. Well, Sam, it's been a pleasure to have you on Vibe Check. We ran through a lot. I feel like that was a high energy 30 minutes, but
dude, you cooked on the prompts. Like, you got me going on a bunch of topics. Like, I feel bad for going off so much.
No, that's exactly what the people are here for. That's exactly what Vibe Check is about, for sure. So thank you for coming on. If you're out there and you're listening and you know what you want to do, but you don't know how to do it, hop in Sam's DMs. I will personally attest that the man works at a frenetic pace. I'm sure that came across in the way that he speaks, but I assure you that he codes and ships product the same way. So Sam, thank you once again for coming on. Any final words?
This was hot vibes.
And on that bombshell, we're out of here. That was the Vibe Check. Thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you later.